Good morning to all. So in previous lecture we have completed some diseases, and in this lecture we'll see remaining diseases. So in that we're going to see shigellosis, that is betterly known as bacillary dysentery, and shigellosis is caused by members of genus Shigella. Okay. So the species involved includes Shigella dysentery, Shigella flexneri, then Shigella boydii and Shigella soni. So these are all species that are responsible for causing foodborne illness, and these all species belong to group Shigella. Okay, and the common term is used, that is shigellosis, means infection caused by these group of species, or these species of bacteria of group Shigella, and this is common term to denote the infections caused by them. So all strains of Shigella possesses potent exotoxin, which are carbohydrate lipid protein complex. So basically the illness caused by this organism is toxin, and that is categorized as exotoxin, means it is produced outside cell, and this toxin is mainly composed of carbohydrate, then lipid, then protein complexes, and the exotoxin is the main cause of illness or infection, that is betterly known as shigellosis. So the infective dose is smaller than that of Salmonella, except Salmonella typhi. So in case of this disease also, very few microorganisms or few cells are means they can affect, and they cause infection. So very few cells or infectious dose is smaller than that of Salmonella typhi. Then clinical symptoms. So the illness begins 1 to 4 days after ingestion of bacteria, and it may last for 4 to 7 days. So the symptom includes watery or bloody diarrhea, then fever, then stomach cramps, then nausea or vomiting, and dehydration, and prostration in severe cases, and convulsions in young children. So these are overall symptoms related with disease shigellosis, and it includes bloody diarrhea. So this is the main feature in case of this disease. Then fever, then stomach cramps, then nausea and vomiting. So the diarrhea, which starts as a thin watery discharge, quickly loses its fecal character to be composed of nothing but pus, and along with diarrhea some pus also get discharged from the body, then mucus, threads and blood. So the diarrhea is some, you can say that it besides diarrhea, water and fecal matter, it also excretes pus as well as mucus, threads and blood. So what are clinical symptoms for this disease? So at this stage there is no agonizing pains and constant tenesmus. So the death from bacillary dysentery is uncommon when efficient treatment is provided. So however, Shigella dysentery infections have been reported to have case fatality rate of 20%, and mortality rate is higher in children than adults. So transmission of this disease occurs, human cases and carriers are the only important sources of infection. So spread is by fecal oral route, and person to person transmission is common, and the bacteria leaves the body in stool of an infected person and infects another person through contaminated hands, food, water, or objects like toys and pens. So any type of food can transmit the Shigella pathogen to cause diseases in man. So overall these are details regarding transmission. So it's mainly transmitted by fecal oral route and through other contaminated objects, and flies can spread Shigella germs when they get in contact with infected stool and then contaminate drinking water or food. So flies are another vectors for transmission of this bacteria, and Shigella organisms may remain viable in tap water for as long as 6 months, and in sea water for 2 to 5 months. Okay. So preventive measures. So practice good hygiene and sanitation. Then wash hands well with water and soap each time you use ablution. Then at home and surrounding should be kept clean to prevent contamination of food and water supply, and proper disposal of human waste or sewage. So these are preventive measures that can use to prevent this infection. So keep kitchen work surfaces clean, then use boiled or chlorinated water, then eat properly cooked food, and drink properly pasteurized milk and other liquid foods such as juices, and reconstitute the juice with potable water. So all these are preventive measures. Then next disease is cholera disease. Again, it is common foodborne illness, and cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae bacterium, and cholera vibrios are ingested in drink or food, and in natural infection the dose is usually very small. So the organism multiply in small intestine and produce very potent enterotoxin. Again, so this illness in case of cholera is caused by enterotoxin. So this toxin which affects stomach part of our body, and which stimulates persistent outpouring of isotonic fluid by gut mucosal cells. So man is the only natural host for cholera vibrios, and the spread of infection is from person to person through contaminated of water or foods. So streams and vegetables are most frequent carriers. So cholera is an infection of crowded poor class communities, and it tends to persist in such areas. So cholera outbreaks occur in either as an explosive epidemics, usually in non-endemic areas, or protracted epidemic waves in endemic areas. So clinical symptoms. So as far as clinical symptoms are concerned, cholera is typically characterized by sudden, honest, effortless vomiting and profuse watery diarrhea. So vomiting and watery diarrhea are main clinical complications associated with cholera. So vomiting is seen frequently, but very rapid dehydration and hypovolemic shocks, and the frequent water stools may be accompanied with small parts and the mucosa being liberated from intestines. So death may occur in 12 to 24 hours due to rapid dehydration, and patients may produce up to 20 to 30 stools per day. So it losses a massive amount of water as well as salts from our body, and losing many liters of water as well as electrolytes, and patients therefore exhibit some extreme dehydration. Urine is suppressed and skin becomes wrinkled, and the eyeballs are sunken, and the voice becomes weak and husky. So blood pressure falls, and the heart sounds become barely audible, and the pulses become rapid and weak just before death. So overall these are complications associated with cholera. And diagnosis. So Vibrio embolization test with dark field microscopy in acute stage, and vibrios are abundantly present in watery stool up to 10 to 7 to up to 10⁹ organism per ml, and bacteriological examination can be done in stool as well as suspect water as well as food, and precise identification of biotype and serotype done using serological test and fast sensitive test. Okay. So control measures to control the diseases, there are some control measures we can use. So provision of potable water, it should be clean and free from any kind of pathogen. Then proper sewage disposal and proper cooking and hygienic handling of foods. Then observation of personal hygiene and vaccination. So the heat killed phenol preserved vaccine has protection that lasts for 3 to 6 months. So these are overall control measures for this cholera disease. Then next is Vibrio parahemolyticus foodborne infection. So Vibrio parahemolyticus is a pathogenic bacterium whose natural habitat is the sea. So this infection mainly caused due to eating of seafoods, and human infections occur solely from seafoods such as oysters, shrimps, crabs, lobsters, clams, and related shellfish. and cross contamination may lead to other foods that are becoming acts as a vehicle. And symptoms for the diseases are so Vibrio parahemolyticus causes gastroenteritis and extraintestinal infection in man. So gastroenteritis is the main clinical complication associated with this disease, and the mean incubation period is up to for 16 to 17 hours, and it may last for 3 to 76 hours. And symptoms includes severe diarrhea. 90%, 95% cases are shown the symptoms, then cramps, then weakness, then nausea and chills and headache and vomiting. So these are basic symptoms associated with this disease, and symptoms it may last for 1 to 8 days with mean of 4 to 6 days. The next infection is Vibrio vulnificus foodborne infection. So Vibrio vulnificus causes severe foodborne infection, and the case fatality rate for Vibrio vulnificus septicemia extend up to 50%. And immunocompromised host, that is Vibrio vulnificus infects, can cause fever, nausea, then myalgia and abdominal cramps, and for 24 to 48 hours after eating contaminated foods. So Vibrio vulnificus foodborne infection, the organism can cross the intestinal mucosa rapidly, leading to sepsis within 36 hours and initial onset of symptoms. So this bacteria may invade your intestinal tract or intestinal mucosa, the layer of intestine, and where it get multiply rapidly, and in cases are mostly common reported in warm weather months and are often associated with eating of raw oysters. So basically this symptom or this disease is caused due to eating of seafood. The next is Listeria monocytogenes infections. So Listeria, again an important group of foodborne pathogen. So Listeria monocytogenes is a gram-positive bacterium that is pathogenic to both animals as well as human beings. The organism is widespread in nature and is a transient constituent of intestinal flora excreted by 1 to 10% of healthy humans, and it is extremely hardy and can survive for many years in cold and naturally infected sources. So vehicle food. So Listeria monocytogenes occur after consumption of raw vegetables, then salads, then raw milk, then soft cheese and meat products, then milk, ice creams, then cheese, poultry, then sauerkraut, salad, then seafoods, meat and meat products and contaminated by Listeria. So these are various sources. So almost lots of foods they are carry this pathogen, and delicateness and other ready to eat foods are important in causing Listeria food poisoning. Clinical symptoms. So as far as clinical symptoms are concerned, so in man Listeria monocytogenes causes abortion in pregnant woman, and meningitis, it is the infection of brain in newborn infants and immunocompromised adults. So these are main clinical complications associated with Listeria monocytogenes, that it induces abortion and it leads to manifestation of meningitis. It is basically a disease of brain and infection in brain, and it occurs mainly in newborn infants as well as some immunocompromised adults. So pregnant women, infants and elderly people are particularly at risk of infection with Listeria monocytogenes, and the infection is fatal in susceptible individuals with mortality of 25 to 30%. So the deaths have been reported in fetus, neonates and other individuals with compromised health status. Then next is Yersinia enterocolitica infection. So the organism has been isolated from beef, lamb, pork, seafoods, vegetables, milk and cakes and vacuum packed meat, and all of the sources. Swine appears to be a major source of strains pathogenic to man. So all of the sources, swine appears is the main sources for this bacteria, and virulence appears to be as a result of tissue invasionase of this organism. So Yersinia gastroenteritis then it causes symptoms of syndrome develops several days following ingestion of contaminated foods. Then a symptom includes abdominal pain, diarrhea, fever, vomiting, headache and pharyngitis. Then children appear to be more susceptible than adults because of their less defending capacity of their body, and the organism may shed into stool for up to 40 days following illness. Then disease symptom includes a variety of systemic involvement may occur as a consequences of gastroenteritis syndrome. Then it includes pseudoappendicitis, then mesenteric lymphadenitis, then peritonitis, then terminal ileitis, then retractive arthritis, then colon and neck abscess and cholecysttis. Then so all these are symptoms. So these are clinical terms that are clinical complications associated with this particular disease, and the organism can be recovered from urine, blood, then cerebrospinal fluid and eye discharge of infected individuals. So you can culture this particular bacteria or pathogen from these sources, like source urine of infected person, then blood of infected person, then cerebrospinal fluid as it causes meningitis, and eye discharges of infected individuals. Then there are some viral foodborne infections, and it includes viruses are common pathogens transmitted through food, and it includes hepatitis A, then Novak-like viruses, that is norovirus, and the most important viral foodborne pathogen. And these viruses are highly infectious and may lead to widespread outbreaks. And so characteristics of viral foodborne infection includes only few virus particles are necessary for disease to develop. So again, this is peculiar thing in case of viral foodborne infections, that very few viral particles are necessary. High numbers of viral particles are further transmitted via fecus of infected persons, up to 10 days to 11 particles per gram of fecus. Then specific lining cells are necessary for virus replication. Accordingly, they can multiply in foods and water. So foodborne viruses are relatively stable and acid resistors outside host cells. So it includes infectious hepatitis A. The incubation period is long, being an average of 30 days. It ranges from 50 to 50. Again, it extends for 50 days, and it is a systemic infection characterized by gastrointestinal manifestations and liver injury, then fever, then malaise, anorexia, nausea and abdominal discomfort, as well as bile in urine and jaundice. So the duration of the disease could be from few weeks to several months, and Novak-like virus, that is called as norovirus foodborne infection. So norovirus infection is relatively mild with an incubation period of 3 days. Clinical manifestations or symptoms includes vomiting, diarrhea, and rarely convulsions. So asymptomatic infections are common and may contribute to spread of infections, and infections have resulted from consumption of raw oysters. So basically these viral infections, it is mostly transmitted from food, that is from seafood. Okay. So this is overall scenario of infections. So there are still some infections, foodborne infections are remaining, and we will continue in that next lecture.